At the moment, I'm reading A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. I've read two or three Hemingways. I've encountered them I just encountered them through life. And I picked up A Farewell to Arms in my local co-op. There's a little book, charity bookshop, and there's usually rubbish in there, but someone's been seeding it with some good stuff, so I always check. So my eyes drawn to something. I thought, I've read that, I'll have it anyway. No, I've never read it. It's absolutely amazing. It's reportage of the Spanish Civil War. You're really there. I'd recommend this book because it's called A Farewell to Arms. The fact that I've chosen a book called A Farewell to Arms, and I'm reading it now, and it's speaking to me about the Spanish Civil War and the horrors of the rise of if a fascist entity takes over a country through blood, the blood spilled is deep red, and a great deal of it flows from the private parts of women, because that's the technique, is to suppress the divine feminine. And when you reading this book, I understood something that I hadn't about the psychological damage of how it feels to be psychologically damaged. I'd always focused on Germany. As a boy, that was my link in the Second World War, pretending, playing. And then in the science and the Holocaust and the experiments and Dr. Levy, everything draws me to Germany all the time. And one awakening I had at the Brexit referendum was, what did it feel like for the Germans while fascism was rising around them as a democratic takeover? And I knew exactly how it felt. I was watching it in real time, and I would hear James O'Brien just tracking the rise of fascism, marking it against 1984, identifying where we were in the story of 1984. And so I know that this is a fascist regime which was democratically installed. So what I learned, there's a difference between the two. The rape and citizens murdering each other that occurred at the start of the Spanish Civil War was inflicted by the Göttingen crew, 27 to 33. 33, when the Nazis moved in, the first experiment they did was, can we corrupt another country? We don't want to do ours first, we need to test it. Let's see what happens. We'll let it rip. Yeah, let it rip and see what happens. And what happens is you read Farewell to Arms, and then you know what happens. And the Spanish experiment, somehow the generals survived the war, and Franco held on until 75. Imagine that, 1975. The generals, the fascist organisation, was still running Spain. Spain, the most cultured, wonderful country in the world. Yeah, the amalgam, the mellifluousness of the language and the thought process of the Spanish people, with their Moorish hearts and minds. That's why they picked on Spain, because they knew that if there was going to be a knowledge-based civilization that would destroy them, it would come from Spain. Because you need an Arab mind to understand the science that the Germans were trying to rule with a train of thought. No, you need mellifluousness, not a straight edge. You need analog, not digital. So what's coming, my friends, in Great Britain is glory. In our constitution, it's proven that if a citizen can prove that their morality is superior to that of the law, then he may be king. If he can raise people to his morality that says, look, you can have this one if you make me the king, that's your constitutional right, and indeed duty. Because my soldiers are being sent to fight to support Israel, and I won't have it. I won't have it. I know what's going to happen, and I won't have it. And if you won't have it, you can just say, well, let Martin run the country. Reynolds Enge knows what he's talking about. Let's let him do it, because he promises no suicides and a ceasefire immediately. And he says he can pull it off forever. So support me. Do your constitutional duty, my friends, my citizens, my beloved fellow countrymen. I realised something yesterday. I had a lovely encounter with a friend who I'd never met, walking the dog. They're always my favourite encounters. And we discussed the lie of the land and the shape of the weather that we were looking at as a fog rolled down from the valley, from the Merthyr end of the valley. And I realised how much I loved the country. I understood what love of my country really felt like. You know, I've wondered this. People say, oh, you get out of my country. Well, what is my country? My country is not UK PLC. My country is not the flag. What is my country? It's the land that I love. And as the king, it becomes all mine. Every single thing in this country is mine. I want the treasury sealed. I want all the MPs arrested. I want Jeremy Corbyn as my nominate Prime Minister to get me through this transition period as a trusted man and with a link to Palestine, because that's the healing. The first gift of the King of England is to the Arab people to make good the promise of Lawrence of Arabia. T.E. Lawrence promised the Arabs a homeland, and we reneged on that deal. And it's been a disaster ever since. I'm making good that promise. Jerusalem and the land of Palestine is Arab forever. It belongs to the Palestinians. Do with as they please. My instruction as king to the Jews, in order to cease bloodshed, is to pack a suitcase and go. And the Palestinians, all to move to the nice places in your country that have been built for you to live in, to have a holiday. And do no work, and we will look after you. The King of England pledges aid to Palestine so that you can have a holiday. You deserve it. We have united Christianity and Islam in the language of science and found the unifying morality. And it's so simple. Find your own way to your own God. Always tell the truth. And you will find that your train of thought, your white, your Aryan, your Anglo-Saxon mode of operating, the train of thought, can be melded with the mellifluousness of Islam, the deep, deep wisdom that lies within the words of the Prophet, peace be on him, are going to be embedded into Christianity. The words of Christ, of forgiveness and of love, above all, is going to be embedded into Islam. Wherever you go in the world, you will always know whoever you engage with will have the same morality, or they will bear a mark that says they do not. So you will know whether you are dealing with a master or with a slave. We treat our slaves kindly, really kindly, because they're children. There is the education is set up using my videos as the training modules, the scripts for the training. They set up training really fast for everyone. If you have the mark of a slave, you can rid yourself of it through education. Your exam is a 6-word story, exactly as laid out in my Twitter competition. And I must stress this, I've forgotten to mention it, using none of the words that myself or God have used apart from the word is. Exercise 1, exercise 2, the 220 video, preferably audio is acceptable. Or if you have particular needs, we can manage those, of course. And that's it, and then you've passed. So if you've achieved, if you've passed, if I say you've passed your 220 and your 6, then your mark is removed. And it's me who says it. Me for the white Christian world. You look to me for your guidance, and I'll keep you safe and show you a way out of slavery. So I issued a threatening video to an MP, a democratically elected MP. I issued a direct threat to him for lying at the dispatch box in Westminster. Now, I won't carry out that threat, but I wanted him to think about it. Because lying is illegal in this kingdom. If you make me king of the world, that will apply everywhere. And that the no suicide rule will then expand into the whole planet, and you will have brought yourself to your God. So just don't panic. Everything is cool. You need to make one move. Make me the king. And I can give you the answer. Disclosure. I'm going to give it to you. When you investigate science to its nth degree, what you find is the small letter I. And it has infinite ways that we can express it, but it's always I, which is an imaginary number. And so you found something that doesn't exist. And therefore what you've discovered is yourself in the mirror. You take yourself, take your perspective, and go and stand where the eye is, and draw little arms and legs on it, and look back at what you're looking at, and then say, I love you, God. You are magnificent. What's the story? Morning glory. Welcome to New Earth. £2 second cup.